Good morning, everyone. Good to see you all. Thanks for the very warm welcome, Shrija. I think we have a full set of, the entire ecosystem, as Shrija was mentioning. We have the founders, we have the MSME audiences, we have the VCs, right? So the entire ecosystem that's building towards the 5 trillion economy of India, and very excited to be talking AI. I know we are all overwhelmed by AI. That's all we hear morning to night. Being an AI founder, I also get exhausted and fatigued by so much of AI, but that's the way things are right now. And I hope to kind of do some justice to this vast topic today, because as we know that it's an encompassing system, right? It's all around us. It's in our daily lives. It's in our work. It's in our professions. It's like the moment you go on Google, you start interacting with AI right now, right? Everybody knows that now the search is also powered by generative AI, right? So it's kind of omnipresent, I would say, right now, and especially for MSME founders, there are a lot of questions, there are a lot of challenges. So we want to discuss what the ecosystem looks like for MSME, right? What are the challenges that MSME founders face today, and how they can leverage AI, how they can leverage generative AI, and now agentic AI as well, right? So I hope just to get a sense, dipstick sense of the audiences, like how many people use ChatGPT on a daily basis? Okay, about 30%. Weekly basis? Copilot, okay. Okay, good. So, some interesting key facts and insights about MSME sector. So any guesses how many MSMEs exist, are registered, officially registered in India today? Any guesses? Yeah, that's closer. So 63 million, right? So 6.3 crores of MSMEs. So yeah, about that much. And what percentage of India's GDP does MSME sector contribute? Okay, any other answers? 30%. 30% is right. And how much of India's exports are generated by MSME sector? I think he and me are on the same sources. or he covers MSMEs, yeah. So he's most updated right now. So yeah, 63 million MSMEs operate in India, right? It's only second to China globally, right? That's the strength of MSMEs today in India. 30% of India's GDP, 45% of exports, right? So 45% of exports and 25% of employment. 1/4 of India's employment is generated by MSME sector. It's a huge number, right? It's commendable. 110 million people, right? After agriculture, it's the highest employment generator in the country, right? So that's the span of MSME sector. In terms of sectoral and regional diversity, any guesses how many of these MSMEs are in urban areas versus rural areas? No guesses? 40% in rural, 60% in urban. So a fairly good mix, right? I mean, it's almost like half of them are in the rural areas, half of them are in the urban areas. 45% in fact, right? And that's the breakup, as you see, right? I mean, across manufacturing, across services, across trade, this is the kind of breakup that MSME sector has. Now, on the interesting part, what is the tech and digital penetration of MSME sector, right? How many MSMEs use any kind of digital ecosystem today, are attached to any kind of digital ecosystem? What percentage? Any guesses? 20, 10? Let's add that. So it's about 30%. Right? 30% of MSMEs have some or the other digital ecosystem association, and only 14% use cloud-based tools. So you can imagine the potential of tech adoption in MSME sector, right? Only 14% are using cloud-based tools, which means only 14% have access to any kind of AI today or generative AI today. So 86% of market TAM, right? It's still out there for the uptake, right? So these are some interesting key facts and insights. Now, what are the main challenges that MSME sector faces, right? And more or less, even with the structured or the large cap organizations, but more on the MSME side, the manual and paper-based operations, right? Because the digitization is low. As we saw that the digital ecosystem has not penetrated so much in MSME sector. So the manual paper-based operations are heavy. Lack of skilled manpower, right? Because manpower, holding on to manpower, attrition, skilling, upskilling them is a huge challenge. Credit and cash flow constraints, right? For any business, more for MSME sector, the longer working capital cycles, the lack of cash flow and other aspects. The other aspects are fragmented tech ecosystem. So too many small disconnected apps, right? They use too many smaller apps for billing, for accounting, for HR, for different purposes, but they are all disconnected with each other. No integration between these systems, as well as very important, fear of tech investment due to unclear ROI, right? The MSMEs have to be very, very careful with their working capital, their investments, and the penetration of tech and the awareness of tech is a bit on the lower side. So there's a lot of fear about what's the ROI is there. Time scarcity, it's true for all of the founders, any founder, more for MSME owners, right? And limited access to AI and advanced tech. Now that's also very important that there's a perception that, AI, Gen AI, Agentic AI, these are only for big companies. These are expensive, entities and assets, and they can only be used by big companies. Only big companies can have access to them, right? And even at the support level, there's not much of support level for adoption of AI across MSME sector, right? So these are some of the challenges. So what role is generative AI now playing in this field, right? Because as we understood, there are many challenges. The awareness is low. There's fear of adoption. There are high cost, perception about high cost and everything. And the way generative AI has now come into play, I think it's a great equalizer for the ecosystem. Particularly, as we discussed that about 30 to 40% people are already accessing generative AI on a daily basis, right? So it's become that easy. So AI used to be science fiction earlier, right? For a lot of people, they only understood that there is something called artificial intelligence. They had never interacted with it. How the generative AI wave has changed the ecosystem is that now every person has a way to interact and feel the magic of AI, right? And we all do that, right? When we go to ChatGPT and we ask questions, we get some things done by it. We understand that what level of intelligence and how it can do so much stuff for us, right? So the kind of intelligence it generates and we have a first-hand touch to it, first-hand feel to it, is kind of changing the entire perception about AI, and also not at a great cost, right? So we'll see how it goes forward, but the main thing still remains that whenever you are interacting with generative AI, the main two criteria are still that you should know what you want from generative AI, right? That's the most important thing. Structured clarity, right? That is missing in a lot of founders, a lot of part of the ecosystem that, you first thing is maybe you don't know what AI is capable of. But the other thing is also that do you have structured clarity in terms of understanding what you want from AI or Gen AI, right? So the first important thing is to have structured clarity. The second thing, the most important thing, and that we have been hearing about is prompt engineering, right? How to ask for it. So you know that you want a certain thing to be done from AI, but how to ask for it, right? The most important thing today in the world of generative AI is not what it can do or how it can do. It's that how can I interact, how can I ask the right questions, how can I prompt it in the right way so that it gives me what I want from it, right? So the most important thing now has become learning the language of computers, which is prompt engineering, right? The computer has learned your language. It has learned English, right? It has come 2 steps, 5 steps ahead to meet you. But you also need to learn the way to talk to a computer, talk to generative AI by using the proper tips and techniques around prompt engineering. So that's become the most key cornerstone for interacting with generative AI. So before we go ahead, a bit of an introduction about me. I'm the founder and CEO of GenX AI. I've been an ex-vice president at Accenture AI. I'm an alumnus of IIM Ahmedabad. I met a fellow alum of IIM Ahmedabad here in the audience. LinkedIn has been very kind. It has honored me with the top voice in AI title. I'm also an empaneled advisor with McKinsey, BCG, Bain, so I consult with them for their client, assignments for their internal research as well. And I'm a speaker at various AI seminars, NASCOM seminars, IIT, IIMs, and everything, right? So a bit about the company as well. So we are into full spectrum AI implementation, right? Which means that right from strategy to implementation to training about AI, we cover the entire gamut of services, which means that what is possible with AI, right? What is the art of possible with implementing AI at your organization? We help you with a proper Gen AI strategy, because a lot of organizations today are still trying to fathom what can AI do for them, right? How it aligns with their business model, what kind of outcomes it can give you, where is the right step to start adopting AI, right? The most important questions that come from founders are, what are the first 3 or 5 steps that we should take in terms of start to adopting AI within our organization, right? So that's where we start with the founders, helping them with the strategy. We help them formulate the entire adoption roadmap, which means that finding the use cases, piloting the use cases, creating POCs, moving these POCs to production, right? So the entire gamut of adoption of AI, right from strategy to implementation of AI, and this could be custom AI solutions, it could be tools, accelerators, right? So this entire kind of journey we help the clients with. And also now we are moving into agentic AI in a big way, right? Because as we are all hearing, now everything is turning towards the agentic properties of AI, right? Which is an extension of generative AI, right? Any thoughts about what is the main difference between generative AI and agentic AI? Like we all have been hearing a lot about agentic action, yeah? So how does generative AI and agentic AI how does one move from generative to agentic? So one answer by is about action. Absolutely, absolutely. So generative AI gives you context, but you need somebody to take action on that context, right? So that's agentic property. Any other answers? These are all the building blocks, but I'm just trying to kind of elaborate on the idea of agentic AI, because there's a lot of questions in our mind that we understand generative AI, we go and interact with a chatbot, it gives us answers, but now everybody's talking about agentic AI. So what's the difference? What's the big difference between generative and agentic? Automation of entire workflows, correct? Specialized agents so you can create for different tasks. Yeah, for banking, for manufacturing. Even within banking, you can have like one for, let's say, customer service, one for new products, one for the accounting purposes, transactions, operations, right? So there are specialized agents, right? So what else agentic involves is that the memory part, right? Because as a human, we have memory. We have what different kinds of memory we have? We have factual memory, right? We understand facts. What is, for example, as I was telling you, the 30% of MSME sector is in rural India, or the facts about any particular domain, right? So what are the facts in banking? What are facts in healthcare? So factual memory. The second is episodic memory, right? So what do I mean by episodic memory is that, for example, today I'm coming and giving this talk, right? Now, the next talk I'm giving at the next seminar, I have an episodic memory of what I did in my last talk, right? So whatever interaction, whatever experience you're taking, you have an episodic memory. You learn, you make notes of that particular experience, and that stays in your mind, right? And then you have transactional memory, right? Which is like the transactions that you do. It's more short term in that sense, right? So these are the different kinds of memories that even the agents carry with them, right? And with that memory, they are able to then automate the workflows. They're able to take actions. They're able to maintain the historical context of what had happened earlier, right? And then they're able to become specialized in different domains, because with all of this memory, I can be specialized in banking operations, I can be specialized in healthcare, I can be specialized in manufacturing, right? So it's about actionating with memory, with state management, with a self-correcting feedback loop. The most important thing, right? Learning continuously. Correct. So that's a self-reflection loop, right? So these all things come together and create the agentic experience for you. The cognitive brain is still the generative AI, the LLM, which is doing the thinking part, reasoning part. Most important part is the reasoning. When given certain different options, how am I able to logically think and take a certain step, right? What is my thinking process? So as sir mentioned, long form thinking. Today's AI that the generative AI that we interact with is turn-based approach. I ask a question, it gives me a response back. I ask a question, gives me a response back. It's like playing a tennis match. Send the ball, it comes back. With agentic, we go into long-form approaches. You give it a task, it will go in the background, it will break it down, reason, think, take action, self-correct, accomplish, come back to you and say, okay, I've done this for you, right? So that's the level at which the technology has gotten to, right? It's fascinating, right? Can you? Yeah. Correct. Correct. So yeah. So it's at a surface level, but then it will be capable of doing so many things. You just need to tell it, I want to plan my next trip to Bali, and do everything that's needed for that. So booking the tickets, booking hotels, finding you an itinerary, right? Booking cabs for you, everything it will do. Take its time, come back and say, okay, you're now ready. Take these tickets, go ahead and enjoy your trip. So something like that, right? So some of the places where GenX AI has been present in the thought leadership, speaker at various different forums. Yeah. So coming back to MSMEs, right? We discussed all the challenges, right? What are the different challenges? Now, how can AI play a role over here? And I think we had a very interesting discussion about agents. So, everything that I've given over here, you can just think of an agent equivalent of each and every particular use case over here, right? And that's going to be the reality going forward. It's going to be an army of digital workers who will be doing things in the background for you and, automating manual processes. For example, all your paper-based records. So MSMEs, a lot of paper-based interaction happens within MSMEs, and document digitization is a real problem. Not only at SME level, it's like document digitization, document extraction, document AI in itself is one of the biggest use cases across all kinds of B2B enterprises, right? And that's one of the major places where there's a lot of generative AI and agentic AI application being developed right now, right? AI assistants being developed over there. A lot of MSME business also happens over channels like WhatsApp, for example, right? I mean, all of your interactions, you get your orders, you service them, you send invoices, receive payments. A lot of things happen over WhatsApp, and a lot of that particular conversations just remain in your WhatsApp inboxes. They never get used. There's no way for you to structure those conversations, get the insights, and kind of take or leverage the intelligence from there. But again, generative AI can be very, very powerful, and it's already being used in a lot of such applications, right? Invoice summarization, PO quotation, contracts, right? One of the biggest headaches for any business owner, any kind of entrepreneur is there are a lot of contracts, 100-page, 500 pages contracts that we are dealing with, and we have no time and energy to go through each and every page and try to find out things, what it's saying, right? But with generative AI, you can kind of summarize that. You can get the key insights, key clauses, and everything very, very quickly, right? It can also help you with contract compliance, by the way, because a lot of times we don't know which contract is expiring when, which clause is triggering off when. So, there's, and in future, again, you will have these agents who will be constantly monitoring your contracts, and they will kind of proactively come and say that, by the way, this particular clause is going to trigger in the next few days, or you're going to miss a payment, or whatever it is, right? I mean, it will constantly keep a tab on your contracts, right? The second point is filling skill gaps, right? So as we discussed, finding talent is a real challenge, right? As a startup founder, I understand As any business owner, we all understand the problem of finding good talent. So um, there's always this question that should I go and hire an extra hand for a new requirement? I need some extra pair of hands to do something else. In the future, and even right now with generative AI, a lot of that can be taken care by the digital assistants, right? For example, you need some kind of analysis, you need to create marketing content. I was talking to one gentleman who is into corporate videos, right? So creating, editing, processing corporate videos. Now everything is being done on AI. A lot of your marketing outreach, campaign planning, your content creation, everything is being driven by generative AI. So that's a huge leverage, I think, for MSME founders who are, hard pressed for time and hard pressed for talent, in just exploring and widening their horizons of what not is possible on generative AI, right? And start making use of generative AI with a proper chat GPT a plus kind of subscription. Now it can also create PPTs, it can create Excels, it can create Word docs, it can create assets for you, right? You just prompt, get your entire outline ready, and it will in the end ask you, do you want a PPT? Just say yes, the PPT is downloaded, right? So within a few minutes, you can have your entire presentations ready, all your assets ready, right? Your marketing content ready. Improving access to finance. So, a lot of, as we said, a lot of complex legal language. What kind of loans are available? What kind of schemes are available? You don't have the bandwidth to go and read and just keep an update on what's changing in these particular things. So, all of those summaries it can create for you. Optimizing inventory and procurement, that's more of a manufacturing outlook. So, manufacturing, the demand forecasting, contracts as we discussed, keeping stock of your inventory and other aspects. Yeah, enabling digital customer agent engagement. So as we're discussing, all your WhatsApp chats and everything can be summarized, or your client calls can be summarized, documented. It can help you with your compliance and documentation. Very, very important, right? I mean, regulation, compliance, especially for MSME, every other day there's a new compliance act coming out, and you have to develop reports and you have to, send them out. So, all of that can be taken care by the AI agent. Yeah, and this is, I think, closer to home, the vernacular language options, right? Again, I was discussing with one of the members, delegates over here, in terms of producing content in one language and just personalizing it, adopting it to different regions, right? So the regionalization of content, the translation of content, again, very, very powerful in this aspect, right? And decision support for owners, helping you with strategy, helping you with planning, long-term planning, as we discussed, the AI agents can do that for you. So, you just need to kind of explore these different aspects of GPT, right? It's about cultivating this AI first mindset, right? As we always say that as an owner, we have been traditionally habituated to doing a certain kind of thinking, a certain kind of approach towards our work. But now what we need to do is that for every problem that I'm facing, every challenge that I'm facing, I need to first ask, can this be solved by AI? Can this be solved by generative AI? Can I use chat GPT over here, right? Can I leverage the kind of intelligence that it has and get it solved within a fraction of time? So the first thing that we tell MSME founders is that start cultivating an AI first approach, right? Because as a founder and as a business owner, the onus of bringing AI into your organization starts from you, right? It's always a top-down approach. For all the founders and all the organization runners over here, they understand that everything has to be top-down approach in your organization. So you have to first start cultivating that AI first mindset into everything, and then your organization will start adapting that particular culture within your organization, right? So you need to kind of develop that leadership within your this thing, right? The second step is that feel free to get some coaching, right? Get some training, because it's a vast field. It's moving at a breakneck speed. You sleep in the night, you wake up in the morning, the world has moved by a few 100 miles or something in terms of AI, right? So there's a lot of things that are happening. And it's always best to get some coaching, be in touch with the experts to understand what AI is getting to. The prompt engineering part. It looks easy, but it is very it's a very nuanced thing. You need to understand the tips, techniques, and templates of forming the right prompt so that you can get the right outcomes. And the third approach we tell MSME founders is that always start small. Start with some one or two use cases, see the impact of it, see the results, and then get onto the next steps. Right. So don't go with a big bang approach. Start small, see the results, feel the results, see the ROI, and then go for the next few approaches, because it's going to be a long run of AI implementation. It's not a small big bang kind of journey. Fourth is that enable vernacular and voice friendly tools. So AI is also going to be all voice in the future, right? It's right now we are only talking about text, but it's all going to be voice. It's all going to be visual in the future. So you need to start getting comfortable with the voice and the visual aspects of AI and how to use them, and also get your staff involved in using AI in their own vernacular languages. It's also possible now, right? With ChatGPT and other things, you can talk to it, you can give it commands in your own vernacular language and get back the outputs as well. So language is no more a barrier for using AI. And finally, track ROI in time and not just money, right? So it's not only about what kind of money I'm saving, but what kind of time I'm saving, what extra pair of hands I did not have to go and hire. I did not have to put effort in recruitment or save my cost in hiring another pair of hands, right? So all of those are the outcomes and the savings that you're getting from generative AI. So that's the way to kind of measure your ROI, how much time you're saving, right? So I very quickly, I think we are up on time, but that's a bit of a company overview on us. We are, as I said, a end-to-end value creation partner. We are into consulting, we are into coaching, so we help with, as I said, the strategy, the implementation, the total re-enterprise reinvention, right? And we are also big time into AI training, into AI coaching, because as I said, a lot of founders are looking for guidance on what are the next few steps into AI and get a handle on the concepts. And we develop specific AI tools and softwares, agents, right, for the businesses to use within their workflows. Yeah, I think I'm pretty much done. Though I had some extra slides, but happy to take any questions if there are. So that's a bit about our success stories, what kind of clients we have worked with, what kind of outcomes we have delivered for different level of clients. Yeah, and it's an ongoing journey. It's exciting. Happy to answer any questions if anybody has.
We have the entire backup of ChatGPT, if I may. So, would a ChatGPT assistant be trained to be an agentic AI?
Yeah, so in a lot of ways, yes, because as I said, the cognitive part of agentic AI is still the generative AI, right? It's still the ChatGPT models,
Yes.
GPT models, the Llama models, the Mistral models. The cognitive aspect, which means the reasoning, taking the context in, looking at the task, doing the long form thinking and everything, is still being done by the GPT models itself.
Correct.
And so the generative agentic AI is a natural evolution of generative AI, because
Right.
for one, it is able to understand natural language. It is able to think in natural language. See, the most important thing is, first thing is you should be able to understand the commands given to you. Second thing is you should also be able to elicit what you're thinking, right? Because unless I'm able to tell you that what kind of actions, what kind of strategy I'm forming, you wouldn't know where I'm going with it, right? So at least in the initial days when people are still trying to understand what an agent can do, the most important part is that after you have given it command, it elicits to you, okay, this is my plan. And if you think this is not right, then let me know. Otherwise, I'll go and execute this plan. So again, that particular elicitation is happening in natural language, right? And that's why the generative aspect, the NLP aspect comes into play, the natural language understanding and processing, right? So it's going to be the GPT models only, but with the bells and whistles of kind of making it agentic, right?
ChatGPT gives you somewhat of your own intelligence as well. But then those biases, right? They put you off completely. Like you're looking for something, those biases are completely different, right? So how do you handle or manage these biases, especially when it comes to agentic AI? Because if you
Correct.
train it on the wrong data, like you said, right? Garbage in, garbage out. That's how it works.
Correct, correct, correct. No, very, very valid and fascinating question. I think everybody is trying to figure out this part, that what do you do with the hallucination, what do you do with the biases, right? Because, um, see, for one, AI is going to be a productivity booster. Anything that took you weeks will now take you hours. Anything that took you hours is now going to take you minutes. So it's a huge attractive aspect of using generative AI. But every power comes with responsibility. And the responsibility over here for humans is to be aware about where the AI is leading you. Because, in a very subtle way, it's going to shape up everything about your lives. It's going to shape up how you think, how you act, what you are saying, what you're writing, what you're doing. Everything will be very subtly shaped up by these models running in the background. So very, very valid question. And see, the answer is, the first thing is, as humans, we have to be constantly aware of using technology with responsibility, right? You have to be constantly on the lookout for these biases. That's just the most important thing, because no matter what you do, even as humans, we have biases. The biases that we see in the models are nothing but the biases that we have as humans. Your biases are getting reflected in the models, right? Because when you have been asking a certain kind of questions to it over last few months, last few years, it kind of starts adapting to your thought process. It starts forming an opinion about you, that this is what you like, this is the kind of answer you like, this is the area of interest for you. And so it starts mirroring you, right? So as a human, you have to be first aware about your own biases, and then also be aware about how those biases are being reflected by your digital assistant, right? It's a moving goal. You have to be constantly at it. But at a system level, how do you make sure? So there are RAG infrastructures, there is reinforcement learning, right? There are these different kinds of frameworks, evals and observability frameworks, which are applied on an agentic system to ensure that it's giving you something which is relevant, which is not harmful, right? Which does not have bias. One of the popular ways is to use an LLM against an LLM. So what you get from one LLM, feed it to another LLM, and ask it, do you think this is right? Do you see any bias over here? So LLM as a judge, it's very, very powerful, and it's being used at scale today, right? One of the most important parts of building evals and observability is to use LLM against LLM. So if you're getting from ChatGPT, feed it to an Llama model, right? If you're getting from Anthropic, feed it to Mistral model, something like that. You need to pair it with another LLM and try to see how it can capture the biases for you. But it's valid, and as I said, it's more about self-awareness.
Do we have time for extra question, or we will take it offline?
Maybe we can take one more. Sure.
Ajay, you are in the trenches building these Gen AI applications for all the enterprises. What do you see? Are most of these still at the POC level, or have they some of them have moved to actual steady state Gen AI applications?
Yeah, again, excellent question. See, at the B2B application level, the enterprise level, I think POCs are still the major sort of applications that are being built right now, right? But as we are speaking, in certain advanced and mature enterprises, certain parts of generative AI is also moving into production, right? With a very fair and very clear understanding of what it is delivering, what it is kind of, what kind of outcome it is providing, and with human in the loop. The most important part is human in the loop, right? I think for a lot of a foreseeable future, our AI systems will need that human supervision, right? That is the kind of AI that we should be targeting, because there's always this fear that AI is going to replace, it's going to do this and that and everything. But I don't think that's going to happen, right? It did not happen with the internet, did not happen with the industrialization. It's not going to happen now, because the AI with the biases, with the hallucination, with all its pros and cons, and See, at the end of the day, it's generative AI, right? If I put a prompt 10 times, you will see 10 different answers. Because it is generating that answer in the moment of time, right? It's never going to get you. It's not a flaw, it's a feature. Right? People think that hallucination is a flaw. It's not a flaw, it's a feature. It's a generative AI. It is going to generate every time new for you, right? So human in the loop is going to be the most important aspect, right? And with that human in the loop, yes, in some parts, in very mature organizations, things are moving at certain level, but it's still kind of very slow, with a lot of evals and observation kind of framework applied to it. Most of the implementation is still in the POC stage, especially now with Agentic also. Now that's a new flavor. So again, that's a new building life cycle that has started now. But the hope is that it will start moving into the production soon, and business will start realizing the benefits.
Yeah.
Will this be accepted because the government of India, like clinical decision support system, where it will act as tool because medical doctors not available in all rural area in a country like India. But then supposing if I put in all my symptoms, I mean let me what is the line of treatment? Can this give me some kind of solution?
Yeah, so as I said, right, I mean, see, we all have a lot of questions about whether AI is an illusion, whether it is a hype, whether it is going to sustain, like metaverse, like blockchain, which came with a lot of hype and fanfare, and then they kind of obliterated, right? With AI, one of the things that we need to understand is that even in a country like India, as you said, there is manpower scarcity, right? In rural areas, in certain specialized areas, there is manpower scarcity. And if you think about West, where there's a population crisis already happening, who is going to do work? Who is going to run the workflows, right? That's a real question. The systems have to run, the machines have to produce, the economy has to kind of go on, the services have to be provided, but there are no people. Then who will fill that gap? And there is no answer right now in the vicinity apart from AI. Right? So it's not something of like, it will work or not. It has to work. We have to make it work. We have no other option right now. Right? That's the way industry is shaping up. And that's why even with this, right, as I said, the human in the loop plays an important role. So wherever you're implementing AI, not only by feature, not only by design, not only by advice, but by regulation. The EU AI Act, the Indian AI Act, the US AI Act, every act will regulate and will make it compulsory that your AI has to be under human supervision. It cannot be without human supervision. So yes, with human supervision, it can definitely work, and it can definitely kind of be deployed, and it can be very useful in such situations.
The legal framework, because you prescribe anything and it goes wrong, then
yeah. So the accountability, yes, the accountability has to be established, right? Who is, after all, responsible for that outcome? And as long as there's a human to look at that outcome and certify it, the accountability has been established. So accountability aspect will be very important in that aspect. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Your success stories are with multi-million and billion-dollar companies. But initially you mentioned you want to work with MSME. So have you done any small size implementation with MSME, and how much it was costing to MSME?
So the second part is something we should talk
Yes, that is
one-on-one. But yeah, you're right. I mean, our major clientele has been the large cap, the larger organizations, the well-structured organizations. But as I said, right, the MSME sector is booming, and it's the backbone of Indian industry. And we are very excited. We are having a lot of conversations. We are doing a lot of coaching. We are doing a lot of engagement with the MSME founders. And we are also kind of, there are some tools and some solutions on the design and building stage, right? So we are right now.
Still none of the MSME has implemented your solution?
So at the POC stage, yes. But again, as I said, the production journey is like, it's an ongoing journey right now. It has to go from one stage to another. So the POC stage, yes. Even for MSMEs, generative AI is very, very new. And one of the most important thing is that at the MSME level, your business processes are almost non-existent, right? So in absence of a business process, what will you automate, right? So the process has to start with your business processes, go on to the data level, then comes the AI, then goes to production, right? So we are in the journey right now.
Thank you.
Yep.